What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 375 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk Podcast Hot Tags edition of the week, where we will be breaking down some of the current events, the rumors, the news, the gossip, and everything else that went down in the world of professional wrestling over the past couple of days, including the stories that have gotten a little bit outdated, but fuck it, we didn't get a chance to talk about them last week. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
I'm back in the Smack Talk groove.
Oh, what is that a parody of? That sounds really familiar.
Back in the New York groove by Ace Frehley. I'm back.
Wouldn't have guessed it, but
back in the New York groove.
I just go straight to I'm back,
and I'm better than ever.
At the very least, pretty okay. Maybe not better than ever, but let's dive into hot tags. Of course, as always, everybody, if you have any opinions about these, leave your comments below on YouTube. And if you're listening on iTunes and Stitcher, then go on over to either the YouTube channel page itself or the Smark Out Moment page and drop your comments there, or, wherever the hell else you're listening. Let's just go into one of the older stories here. We got a couple older stories at this point, but like I said, we didn't get a chance to talk about it because it happened the day after we did the hot tags. So one of those is that Ember Moon has to, well, she's undergone by now, elbow surgery. She's injured, and that's one of the reasons why we didn't see her competing for that whole tag team title spot. And they replaced her with Dana Brooke, and then now they got a Dana Brooke and Natalya feud going on, which I'm sure everybody absolutely loves and can't wait to see the next step in. That sucks for Ember Moon. This is one of the worst times of the year to get injured, depending on how bad her injury is. Because at the very least, she would have been a part of some kind of big match at WrestleMania, like the Battle Royal. And that's not really a big match, but, she would have gotten a pay-per-view paycheck and all that out of it. So hopefully, at the very least, she does get a chance to compete there. And taking February and March off is enough to be able to heal up.
I wanted her against Asuka. I really did.
I didn't think there was a chance, but I would have been cool with it.
Well, I still don't have no clue what they're going to do with Asuka now. So,
yeah,
we'll see.
That's tough. I really am starting to think that they don't know either, and that they're going to really rush until Fastlane. Like, it would not shock me at all if Fastlane is some kind of, like, six-pack challenge thing, and they just, the week before Fastlane, go, fuck it, we'll just go with so-and-so. Or maybe this is leading to some kind of Lacey Evans or Nikki Cross, and they're going to make their way over there or something. I don't know. But
Nikki Cross, I'm kind of the mindset that Asuka should wrestle somebody she's already wrestled. And we know she can tear it down with, like an Ember Moon or Nikki Cross. Because if they go, Asuka is going to be against Sonya and Mandy and the Iconics, and it's going to be these two sets of tag teams. How will Asuka ever overcome?
That they could do a handicap match. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. That wouldn't shock me. Ugh. Well, we know it's not going to be Charlotte, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. One of the other stories regarding these whole things that happened last week on Tuesday is that Hideo Itami is gone from WWE. He changed his name to Kenta on Twitter. He wrestled his last match in WWE on 205 Live, where he put over Akira Tozawa. And they even released a thing, or he kind of released, called hashtag 205 Life that they've done here and there, where it was him backstage talking about some of the reasons why. And it seems like it boils down to he couldn't learn English, and he just couldn't get a whole lot of momentum with his injuries.
Well, this bums me out because I had actually pegged him not 48 hours earlier to win the Cruiserweight Championship. And now he's just going to go back to Noah, probably. Or, at least back to Japan for sure.
Yeah, he's 100% going to Japan, because on that 205 Life thing, he was specifically saying, I miss Japan, I miss eating Japanese food, talking about how American sushi sucks, like different things like that. He's definitely going back to Japan.
Yeah, I wonder, Nakamura is a lot more acclimated and adjusted, but, being homesick like that must suck. We take that for granted a lot, I think, but it's a different country and a different lifestyle entirely. You know?
Yeah, and it's not the type of thing that, like, you know, me speaking big traveling experience. I've never been out of the country, but you know, Canada is still a lot closer to the United States, both physically and culturally, than something like Japan. Japan is totally a different universe. I mean, you can buy underwear from vending machines over there and shit. So that's gotta be, you know, if you equate it to like movies, it's like watching a horror movie versus watching High School Musical. Like, they're totally different types of things. America would be the horror movie, by the way. That's the type of thing. You know, I can understand it from Hideo Itami's point of view. He goes to the United States. He's supposed to be a big deal. They put him in NXT. NXT, as much as it's great, is still the minor leagues. It's still the developmental territory. And you've got people in there that have worked for 10 years, but you've got people that have not worked for 10 minutes. So it's a little bit insulting if you're, you know, really big on the respect side of things. But he had time that he could have, if things would have worked out, been in NXT for maybe a year, come up to the main roster and been somebody. He unfortunately ran into an injury. And then that injury was a big injury, followed by another injury. That fucked him real bad. And part of me kind of looks at that and goes, well, he was shot in the foot from the start. As some other people would say, he was snake bit. But I also kind of have to say he had enough time that he could have learned the English then, because he could have spent that time doing like Rosetta Stone and all that. And I don't feel necessarily too bad about that side of things, but I completely understand too that learning a language is hard, and just acclimating yourself to a different culture is hard, and if you don't have enough fun, like, I'm more so, as much as I can write off the idea of like, well, he had enough time and I didn't really like any of his matches and all this other kind of stuff, I'm more so on Hideo Itami's side. Let me put it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's one of the very, very few occurrences that just didn't work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some people you can look at in their career and it's like WWE was not the place for them, and it seems that's the case when it comes to him.
Yeah. But you know what? More power to him, and more power to WWE for not being selfish with this one.
Well, we'll have to see about that, because if he signed some kind of a deal that says he can't work anywhere in the United States for like a year or something like that, that's a little bit on the salty side, but at the same time, I can understand them protecting their investment too. And
But even if they did, it doesn't matter with him. He wasn't going to.
I mean, realistically, he's going to go for Noah, and he's going to go for New Japan or something. Like, that's where he'll go. He's not going to be just like popping up on Impact. You know what I mean? Like,
what's Hideo Itami?
let's hit Hitami Hideo. Yeah, it'll be like, no, that's flipped around because Japanese. You know, just kind of. I hate to sound mean about it, but it's almost sort of like good riddance a little bit to me, to a certain extent, because I don't really look at this as being like a big loss. I'm happy that he's going to be able to do something that he likes more.
I agree.
And then if I'm trying to think of like feuds that we could have gotten, honestly, I can't really think of any.
Hideo Itami versus Kushida, who's coming in from New Japan. I really wanted to see that. Hideo Itami, Shinsuke Nakamura. Hideo Itami, Daniel Bryan should have happened. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him stick around, but you know, good for him for knowing what's best for him.
Now, there's a little bit of a difference when it comes to Dean Ambrose, because the Lunatic Fringe is leaving WWE, and I'm still not 100% convinced that it's not a storyline, but it does seem like that's the case, because nobody seems to be kind of going, well, or anything like that. Or if you're Hawk, well, that would be
Tell him, Hawk. Well,
he supposedly is leaving in April, and the more and more that we find out about this, the more it seems he's not necessarily going to be going anywhere, but he's just going to be taking time to just like relax and stuff and to get his mind out of the pro wrestling business and all that. So if that's the case, we could see him come back to WWE because he's not signing another contract according to these rumors and reports. He's just not renewing his contract. So that's not like the big scoop is Dean Ambrose wants to leave WWE for AEW. It's just he wants to leave WWE.
I'll be honest, I don't know.
It would shock me if he didn't pop up in AEW. I would put that out there.
My guess is Impact Wrestling. Only because Impact has Sami Callihan and OBE, and Dean is from Ohio, and he's very cool with those guys. I think that's where he should go. But Dean Ambrose is also strikingly similar to CM Punk. Dean Ambrose can easily be done here, and I think that's something that we're just not talking about enough. He could be done.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, he is the type of guy that he doesn't strike me, and I don't know him personally, but he doesn't come off to me as somebody who's a WWE lifer or a wrestling lifer. He seems more like he got into it, and that just happens to be the career that he went into, as opposed to being like, man, I remember growing up and being somebody who idolized Ultimate Warrior, and like, you know, like you look at like a Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder is very much like WWE has been my favorite thing since I was a kid. Dean Ambrose doesn't come off to me like that.
But you know what? The funny thing is, he actually was. Dean Ambrose was one of those guys who, you know, he always talked about renting tapes of like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and
could have fooled me.
You know, it's the way that he carries himself. He doesn't come across like, oh my god, this was my life. You know what I mean? Like how the Revival, they constantly knock on internet nerds who this is their life, but they
were totally them.
Yeah, that's totally them. I don't know. I'm a little saddened because a lot of people are pointing to the Dean Ambrose current heel run, but like Dean Ambrose as a solo act never clicked ever. Like it's time to be realistic about that. You take him away from Rollins and you take him away from the Shield, and he never clicked.
Yeah, I mean, he as a singles guy could have gone somewhere, and he could have gone more than he did with like the potential of the Lunatic Fringe kind of character, but it somehow some wires got crossed. And maybe it was because they gave him the championship instead of letting him be somebody who fights for it. Or maybe it was just a matter that he didn't want to be a babyface and he wanted to be more of a heel. But he was fun at times, and he had some potential for some other feuds that still haven't been happening yet and all that. But I don't know. Like, I kind of... Part of me actually, same as with the whole situation with Hideo Itami, part of me kind of looks at this as a good thing, even though there's that part of me that always wants people to just go to WWE and stay in WWE and then have control over everything. I kind of look at this as like, I'm glad Dean Ambrose is leaving because that forces WWE to kind of wake up a little bit more. That's a big guy that they're leaving, that they're losing.
It's the first big guy they've lost, I would dare say, since CM Punk. Because when Ryback left, the wheels were already off.
Yeah.
But this is a big guy. Even Cody, for everything Cody has done now, when Cody left, it was like, finally, you know? With Ambrose, I don't know, it seems like they fucked up here.
And I really am curious to see how they treat him over the next couple of weeks. Because right now it seems like they're doing this whole thing with EC3, which seems to only exist to put EC3 over. But I don't think that it's got a lot of legs to it. So it wouldn't shock me at all if this Dean Ambrose EC3 thing is done by next week or so. And then maybe he doesn't even do anything at WrestleMania. What would you do if you were in this position? Would you use him at Mania?
Absolutely.
How would you use him?
I think you use him. You still put him in a big match. He can do a loser leaves town. Like, wrestling has these gimmicks for a reason. Do a loser leaves town with, like, Balor or something. You know? Make people think that Balor might actually be going too. Do something unique like that. Don't short him on the Mania payday. Don't do anything to ruffle the feathers, because his wife still works there. And you still want to get, a lot of usage out of his wife. And the things that they have put on Renee's back as the first female commentator, she's this groundbreaking figure. You can't fuck up that relationship, because, I don't care who you are. Yes, Tony, you have your many sites that you write for. But if, let's say, one of your bosses said, fuck Caroline, you're going to be like, oh, fuck you. I'm never doing anything for you again. It's a natural instinct, and they don't want to piss off Renee.
Yeah, I could see a couple different possibilities. I think that we are obviously not privy to the backstage discussions. And if this is a story where Dean Ambrose is like, I want to leave WWE because I want to go to All Elite, or I want to go to Impact, if I were in WWE shoes, I don't think I would give him a prominent spot at WrestleMania, because I'd be like, look, Renee, we're not going to push your husband so he has a ton of momentum to go to another company. It's just not feasible for us as a company. And I probably would just put him in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and make him lose. But if he's saying he wants to leave WWE because he just wants time away and he doesn't want to be in the wrestling business, then I would err more on the side of caution and say, all right, well, you're a part of the family. We want you to come back at some point when you're ready, and we're going to give you a good send-off. And then at that point, Loser Leaves Town is definitely a good thing to do. If you don't go in the direction of an actual Loser Leaves Town match with him and whoever it might be, I tell you who would be a good person, at least as far as like speculation. Not a good match-wise, but him against Dolph Ziggler would be very interesting, because then people would be like, all right, both of these guys could leave, you know what I mean? Especially if you had like a draw at the end, like that'd be hilarious.
Isn't that funny? Because when he and Ziggler got put into the first SmackDown main event of, 2016 draft, like, they were two guys with chips on their shoulder, and they were set to elevate each other, and then didn't click. It's just a weird thing with Ambrose. Ambrose is very unique in the way that he carries himself, and not everybody clicks with Dean Ambrose.
I tell you, the other thing that I would maybe do, though, if you want to avoid doing a Loser Leaves Town match at WrestleMania, is you have him as one of the people in the multi-man Intercontinental title match, or whatever, I still think that that's a possibility. And the night after at WrestleMania, not WrestleMania, at the Raw after WrestleMania, Ambrose comes out and he gets ready to cut a promo about how he wants to leave, and then somebody makes their debut and they send him off.
Yeah, that's pretty traditional. I could see that.
You know who I think I'd go with for doing that?
Dream.
Nope. Undisputed Era. I think that would
it's like the Shield in a way.
Kind of like that, and also people wouldn't know what to do, like how to react, because they would be wanting to keep Ambrose, but they would want to cheer Undisputed Era, so they would just be like, I guess we got to boo them. And that would be one of the only ways I think that you could actually have them debut and actually maybe start being heels. Because the Raw after WrestleMania, they're going to get cheered. Maybe if they're the ones that run off Ambrose, though, maybe they actually get booed.
I don't know. That's tall order.
And if it doesn't work, a week afterward, they fuck off and they do something else. You know what I mean? But you already got Ambrose out of the mix. Very interesting story that we're going to track, obviously, over the next couple of weeks when we start heading into WrestleMania a little bit more. This EC3 thing is the thing that's going on right now, so at least that's something to look forward to. We also have, as much as people are leaving WWE, we have people joining WWE because we have 2 more backstage producers that have been signed, Shawn Daivari and Gregory Helms, which makes a lot of sense. Daivari has been a part of WWE for a bunch of different years. He was part of the Cruiserweight division. He was a manager. He popped up for the Greatest Royal Rumble really quick. His brother is in WWE, Arya Daivari on 205 Live, which I know people don't think even exists, but it's there. Gregory Helms, of course, he you might hear in the background there was a little connecting noise. I'm not going to edit that out. Fuck it. Gregory Helms has been somebody who's won multiple championships in WWE. He was like the cruiserweight champion for the longest time. He has been the Hurricane. He's been part of the Hardy Boy kind of clique. I like that these 2 are a part of the mix now. I think that they're going to be pretty good producers.
I think so too. Gregory Helms has been around the business forever. You know, Shawn Daivari, same thing. They both train guys. I know Daivari has a school, Kennedy, I believe. So they,
not sure.
You know, it's just good. It's good for the business. It's an exciting time to be in the business because you definitely have a job somewhere.
Between being like a Billy Gunn for AEW or being somebody who runs their own wrestling promotion, you know, whether it's like just a, you know, Pritchard and Kane have their own wrestling school now. Like, you got that option. Seth Rollins is even, not only does he have his wrestling school, but he's got a coffee bar now. Like, it's just like, you know, you got options, and that's good. This is the first time in a while that we've gotten some kind of flexibility like that. It also was kind of strange, I think. This seems like to me that Helms and Daivari would be more along the lines of the Triple H crew, and I wouldn't have pegged them as being Triple H guys.
Especially Daivari. I don't know why there's something funny about the little guy with Muhammad Hassan being a Triple H guy.
Yeah. And of course, it doesn't need to be the way that it used to be. It doesn't need to be like, well, they were really buddy-buddy backstage and that's why they got their job. He could just be like, yeah, I respect the way that Daivari works. We don't get along as, like, you know, super best friends, but we don't need to be. It's just, you know, that guy will do well in this position. And that, if that's the case, is all the more reason why WWE would succeed under Triple H. Hence NXT.
Yes.
So they haven't specified if Helms and Daivari are going to be backstage on like Raw and SmackDown, or if they're going to be working more in the Performance Center type of thing. As far as I'm aware, that information hasn't been put out there, but they are joining WWE as producers. Helms has already talked about it, that he's finishing up everything with all his like previous dates that he had signed up for and all that. So thumbs up when it comes to that. Very curious in 5 years who the other like people that have been like retiring and different things, you know, because there's certain people I can't see, even if they're lifers, I can't see them being producers. Like, I don't think Big Show's going to want to travel, you know?
Right. He'll probably just be an ambassador forever.
Yeah. Pop in every once in a while, do some guest spots, film some things for the network, you know, that kind of a thing. But Mark Henry, too, just size-wise.
Yeah, but he is a producer, isn't he?
I don't think he actually is. I don't know for sure. He might be, now that I'm thinking about it. I think he's just an ambassador. Yeah, a lot of different guys in the next couple of years going to be coming in, coming out, that kind of a thing. And Helms and Daivari are the next 2. So
a lot of girls, too. Do they have a female producer?
I don't think so.
Mickey
But
James.
That's like Mickey James, Natalya eventually, when she wants to start winding down her career, she for sure is going to be doing something like that. Especially if TJ is still doing it, then that's like all the more reason for them.
Yeah, I think they would be great at it. I think one of the biggest regrets of Brett in '97 is he didn't get to do that.
I got a feeling that would have been really good too. Maybe not necessarily for the Attitude Era, because Brett wouldn't have known how to really be like that edgy. But if you could take Brett pre-Montreal Screwjob when he's not like as bitter, and I don't blame the guy for being bitter, by the way, too, because it's like his brother died and all this other kind of shit. But if you take like the 94 Bret and you apply him as a backstage producer for the current WWE, man, he'd be able to help out so many people. Just ring-wise, like at the Performance Center, he would be able to do such a good job with like tweaking things, and missed opportunity.
Agreed.
Let's talk about some other things that are going on here. These are just sort of rumors and speculation. One of them being the fact that the Hart Foundation might go into the Hall of Fame this year, but it's not the Hart Foundation that you would want necessarily, or hope for, or would make logical sense. The reports that are going around now, which may or may not be true, because this is around the time frame where we hear a lot of scuttlebutt about the whole Hall of Fame, and then about 75% of it turns out not to be true. But if it is true, it's Jimmy Hart, Bret Hart, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart going in as a tag team. Jimmy Hart is already in the Hall of Fame. Bret Hart's already in the Hall of Fame. And Jim the Anvil Neidhart is one of the deceased people that can't go into the Hall of Fame. So, first question, why the fuck isn't it Brian Pillman and Owen Hart and Davey Boy? Or at the very least, if you can't do the Owen Hart thing, you put in Davey Boy and you put in Brian Pillman.
Because you would then have to deal with the fact that they're all dead. And then it gets real sad.
At that point, just induct Jim Neidhart. Like,
yeah, I agree.
It's just, I get that they don't want to have too many people that have passed away, but, and this sounds really, really offensive, and I don't mean it to come out as something that's like a joke, but they were saying that they wanted to figure out ways to have a shorter Hall of Fame. Well, if you have Bam Bam Bigelow, which is rumored, and you have Jim the Anvil Neidhart, neither of them can do a Hall of Fame speech. I'm assuming Natalya accepts on behalf of Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Natalya's not going to talk as long about Jim the Anvil Neidhart as Jim the Anvil Neidhart would have, because she just doesn't have the same stories. She can't sit up there and try to get more of, and this sounds mean too, but I don't mean it to be offensive, but a lot of these old guys, they haven't been in the spotlight for a long time, and they want to relish in the idea that they actually can be up on a stage and have people's attention and all that. Like Stan Hansen, he's up there, he's milking every fucking second for it. Jim the Anvil Neidhart, he might have done that. Natalya's on there all the time. She doesn't need to do it. So they could have had a shorter time frame for that, because they could have just had Bret Hart do the induction speech, Natty accept on Jim the Anvil's behalf, with her mom and, you know, whoever else, her sister, whatever. And they could have done a really quick one. That's like 2 birds, 1 stone kind of a situation.
I actually came up with the idea of just induct the 97 Hart Foundation and make the entire night like a banquet and like a Hart celebration, banquet, memorial kind of. It's different, but it'd be fun.
The only thing I can understand is if they say the reason why they didn't do that is because it would feel weird to do it without Owen, and that they don't want to do it without Martha's permission. Because it would be kind of strange if you induct Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Brian Pillman, not Owen Hart, British Bulldog, and Bret Hart, and then you just have like a gap, you know? Because there's not going to be any pictures of just them without Owen. So
yeah,
that I understand, but then that's why you just go with Jim the Anvil Neidhart. And I hate this idea of 2-time Hall of Famers. That shouldn't be a thing.
I like that it's Bret and Flair, because they bicker all the goddamn time. and it's like, Rick, I'm a 2-time Hall of Famer too. And Rick goes to Triple H, all right, induct Evolution. Do it right now.
And then induct me and Charlotte. I don't care if she's still like in the prime of her career. Fuck it. The Flairs. Remember that time we came out together and I cried? Hall of Fame. 5-time Hall of Fame or whatever. He's getting a 70th birthday party in a couple weeks. That's good enough.
Why are they doing that? That's
because it's
weird.
Ric Flair and they love him. So that's all they're doing.
It's so Becky Lynch can shit on him, right?
It has to be. Because that's past Elimination Chamber. That's when they start building up to Fastlane. And again, we'll definitely be talking about this. We're holding you off, everybody. That's the thumbnail. That's why this is waiting for that. I don't think the Hart Foundation working in this fashion is a good idea, because then that kills the Hart Foundation for the future, where you can't do the whole Owen and Bulldog thing. And it's kind of annoying to me. I really just I hope that the speculation is wrong and it's just Jim the Anvil.
Yeah, me too. Or that it's the 97 Hart Foundation.
Yeah, I mean, that would be better. But if you can't give me the 97 Hart Foundation, give me just Anvil on its own. And if that's not the case, then don't induct Jim the Anvil this year. Wait and do Anvil next year. But this is a good year to be able to do it. You know, they're not going to go to Canada for WrestleMania anytime soon. They're going to go to Orlando next year or somewhere in Florida. So it's not like you have to do like the whole well, it's in Canada, whatever, do that kind of a thing.
Fuck it. Do everybody that's dead. Do Jim, Bam Bam, Vader, Bulldogs, and Undertaker. He's dead.
He's technically dead. Like... Paul Bearer is not in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, yeah. 29, right?
He went in, 30. He went in right after Mr. T ran his mouth about his mom.
And on Mother's Day, what? so good.
And on Arbor Day, it's like, whoa, you're running long here, pal.
I do hope the Hall of Fame is shorter this year, because it does go on fucking forever. But I hope that it's not shorter in the sense that they cut the good things. I just want them to maybe not focus as much on, like, yeah, you could go up there and talk for 25 minutes about, you gotta have an opponent, you know, that kind of thing. All right, Stan.
Well, he wasn't wrong. You gotta have an opponent. You can't wrestle yourself.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels could, and he'd get a 5-star classic out of it.
Oh, he basically did. Did you watch Crown Jewel?
Let's move over to, let's see. Oh, we talked about Bam Bam. Let's talk about Bam Bam a little bit more, because Baron Corbin has said that his first step in his transformation was that he needed to shave his head. Second step, needing to get a head tattoo. Kind of on the same regards as Bam Bam Bigelow, but that he doesn't want to get the flames. Part of me goes, this is great. That's awesome. Like, that's dedication to the craft. That's dedication to changing up your gimmick. And then there's that part of me that absolutely hates tattoos and just wants to go, my God, don't make this mistake, you idiot. Like, you know. Which, well, I totally hate all tattoos in all regards. The only tattoos I think make any sense are the ones that they cover up scars. Like, I saw a tattoo the other day on Reddit, and it was like the person had lost one of their fingers. That, like, not like the full finger, they lost like the tip, where they basically essentially lost their fingernail, like that whole section. And they got a tattoo of a fingernail on the part of the thumb or whatever it was that was left. So when you just glance really quickly, you just think that they have a short finger, but it looks like a fingernail. And it was like, that's a good tattoo. That's like, you know, makes it a little bit easier to be in public and all that. But when people are like, this cross with a heart on it symbolizes my grandmother, it's just like, and the snake with it symbolizes how you're a badass, and the tribal tattoo is part of the tribe that you grew up in Cincinnati. And like, it's just, I hate tattoos. But hey, if Baron Corbin wants to get a tattoo of, I don't know, whatever the fuck on its head, just don't do the Paige kind of thing where she gets the talk shit, get bit, and then has to cover it up all the time.
You know, Bam Bam, his entire character was based off of, hey, fucker, you have flames tattooed on your head.
Yeah.
Everything you do is going to be fire.
Bam Bam was awesome, and he was so perfect for that era because he didn't need to be anything other than that. He was literally just big dude with flames. And his theme song even kind of reflected that. It was like, you don't need anything, just have bam, 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 bam. Bam. And you're like, all right, Bam Bam's coming out. And his name too, Bam Bam Bigelow. Not even like Bam Bam Anderson or something like that. It's not. He's big, fucking Bigelow.
Well, I mean, this is back in the day where, yeah, the man's name was Scott Bigelow, but they added Bam Bam, and boom, Bam Bam Boom, you got it.
Boom Boom Bigelow could have been his brother.
Boom Boom Baron.
Boom Boom Baron Corbin. Go Power Rangers.
Boom, boom, Baron Corbin. Super bald, he's Baron Corbin.
He's got bald fucking head and a tattoo. What should he get a tattoo of? What do you think? A skull? A skull on his head?
It would have to be something, like, really cool. You know, like, it'd have to be something that you could market around. So, maybe, like, he's into the, what do you call that? Taxidermy. Maybe get, like, a skull of some kind of animal skull on your fucking head.
Like the deer antler with a skull kind of thing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what I pictured.
Actually, they tend to use cattle for that. Where's Baron Corbin from? Is he a Texas guy or anything?
Either Kansas City.
Kansas City? Okay. So that's not really like, people in Texas love their fucking bulls. But
So Baron Corbin, you can get a big old bottle of ranch. That's it on your head.
Oh god, that'd be so great if he does something like that. I'm hoping it's something that he can work into new gear, because he does need new gear. And if he can do this kind of tattoo thing and not regret it, then all the power to him. It's something to make him stand out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's not going to ever grow his hair back out, so he doesn't have to worry about that at the very least.
I like it.
Switch over to Lars Sullivan. This is a rumor that I don't know if it's necessarily true or not, but it makes a lot of sense to me, which is that Lars Sullivan was supposed to be Daniel Bryan's guy, except, he didn't do the whole thing with having the panic attack and all that, so they threw Rowan in there instead. Two reasons I think that this makes sense. Number one, Lars Sullivan in NXT had a gimmick of being a monster that was well-read. They were always talking about how he's reading all these other kind of things, and that he's got a wider vocabulary than you would assume a monster would have and all this. So that fits the bill for that kind of a character. Luckily for them, they had done that thing with Rowan before where he was supposed to be all smart back in the feuding with the Authority type of angle,
They also did an angle with Eric Rowan where he had a fucking body bag he was carrying around, didn't he?
He used to carry around that fucking sheep mask and all that too, which...
Didn't he kill a guy? He killed a guy. Like in a video. That was never explained.
He's nobody. Who cares?
No, but he is somebody. He's with the WWE champion, Captain Planet.
The other reason I think that this makes sense is because the whole idea of Lars Sullivan feuding with John Cena, they could have roped Daniel Bryan into the mix for it. And it could have been something like Bryan cuts a promo about, like, you were never good enough for Nikki and all the other kind of things to go along with that.
Consumerism. John, you only wanted your name on a reality show so you could sell your life as a product. Consumerism.
Talk about all the merchandise sales and all the other kind of stuff like that. You got your name and your slogans plastered all over your wrist guard things and your hats and your shirts. And
this is one of the only times I would accept a Nikki jab, but your shirts say never give up. But John, my sister-in-law, spent weeks at my house crying because you gave up.
Yeah, it could have worked. So I think that really actually was the case. I think Lars Sullivan was supposed to be there instead of Eric Rowan. And Rowan, I think, just lucked out. Which also kind of makes me go, the fuck did they do with Harper?
What do you mean? They're the thrift store thrifties. They're tag team. I couldn't think of a word.
I'm hoping Harper either just goes to the opposite brand and they just try to repackage him entirely, or honestly, he leaves and goes to All Elite.
Where the fuck is Bray Wyatt?
We thought that he was going to pop up at the Royal Rumble, and we were wrong about that. So, fuck if I know.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing with him. Where the fuck is JoJo? Is JoJo back yet?
Honestly, I didn't pay attention on Raw. Maybe.
No,
Maybe
Mike Rome was there.
Huh. That's kind of strange. I really hope it's
Captain
not Bray Wyatt versus
Fly.
Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. That's gonna piss me off if that's the case.
They had good chemistry.
I don't want that at WrestleMania. I don't want that at all ever again. For that
Why?
matter.
You really didn't like it?
To be honest, I don't really like anything with Bray Wyatt. Now, if you give me Husky Harris versus Daniel Bryan, maybe I'll, I don't know.
You're a husky because you consume.
We shouldn't call you Husky Harris. You're glutton. What's his real last name? I got a blanket on it.
Rotunda.
Glutton Rotundo. Rotund. It's like
Yeah,
it works.
You're a round Rotundo because you eat. You're a consumer.
The consumer of worlds. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Ugh, God. Please don't do that, WWE. Please do Daniel Bryan versus somebody more interesting, even if it's Rey Mysterio.
You consume while I'm trying to conserve.
Conserver of worlds. Don't do it. Don't do it, WWE. Don't do conserver of worlds versus consumer of worlds. Oh, fuck you. It's probably going to happen now. We put it out in the universe.
Do it. Please do it. I want to see it.
We'll see when it comes to post-elimination chamber, because they're not going to build anything until after that. Fastlane's going to rush everything. So, one thing that doesn't seem like it's going to be happening is that Dolph Ziggler has said that he wants to lead a stable of the misfit wrestlers that don't get anything else better to do, like a Mike Kanellis, a Zack Ryder, Mojo Rawley, those kind of people. Not happening. Ziggler has talked about this 3 or 4 times before.
Well, here's the thing with that. Dolph Ziggler could be the perfect guy to lead this group, but they would turn it into like a Motley Crue karaoke band, and I just wouldn't want to see that.
We're a karaoke band! And then Jinder Mahal joins it.
Yeah, he's the fun one, you know?
Who would you like to see if they did this, though? If he is in any capacity going to do some kind of a thing where he has, like, a group of people who aren't really accomplishing all that much.
Ziggler, Mike Bennett, Hawkins, Ryder, and gotta have a big guy. So, screw it. Bring back Ryback.
Like, would that be like the Harper role?
Yeah, you could. And he could do the whole, 5 years ago, wow, we're getting old. 5 years ago, this man and I stole the show at TLC. We put our bodies on the line for this company, and you don't even care. The only issue I have with that is I'm so over Dolph Ziggler coming out and being like, and nobody cares about me.
Spoiler alert for a future article that I've written up, and it's going to be scheduled. He is on my list of people that desperately need to change their gimmick, because I am well beyond I'm the best and nobody gives me enough credit. It's like, all right. You've been singing that song for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever the case may be. Let's move on. I wouldn't mind Shelton Benjamin being in that kind of a stable. That'd be kind of fun.
Ain't no stopping me. No.
Maybe Ty Dillinger.
Chad Gable. Fuck it.
God, Chad Gable is somebody that they're sleeping on so much. I really hate that that's the case. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, we have a little bit to talk about sanity, or the lack of sanity, otherwise known as insanity, because Killian Dain had tweeted out, he kind of jumped on the bandwagon a little bit of, I'm also frustrated that nothing is happening in my career. And WWE, it seems, promptly said, well, fuck you, stay at home. Because he had tweeted out that Eric Young and Alexander Wolf were scheduled for some live event, and Nikki Cross was scheduled for a Raw live event, and he wasn't scheduled for anything. So that's kind of funny that they were like, well, we don't want you to be with your wife, and we don't want you to be with your tag team.
I hate when they do that.
It's very petty, and it is very stupid, because this is the type of guy that you did put a little bit of an investment in, and he has every right to be annoyed because you guys brought Sanity up to the main roster and didn't do jack shit with them. So yeah, he should say, where the fuck is Sanity? And for you to punish a guy for your failures, That's not good, especially for morale. You got to imagine the people that are considering possibly leaving WWE right now, they see that and they go, "This is how this company treats the people? We're supposed to be a family."
No, I'm more over than that. I'm so over them being petty and being like, "I'm gonna separate you from your wife." Like, let the fucking relationships be together. Notice how they never split Naomi and Uso. They never split Lana and Rusev. They tried to split them on television, but they never like put them on separate shows.
Lana and Rusev, by the way, they've been talking recently about how much WWE sucks with them.
Isn't that weird that like they just got over the hump with the fans talking about like Raw's got its lowest ratings ever, and now the wrestlers are just like, yeah, I don't want to be forgotten about. I want to be in the main event. Fuck this.
They have every right to be, because now's the time where WWE is shitting themselves a little bit and still not changing anything, by the way. Nothing is different about WWE from what it was in November. It's not like they're suddenly deciding that, like, we're going to start pushing these people, we're going to start changing up the product. Everybody that bought into that speech, I didn't buy into it for 1 minute. And now's the time with All Elite and with all these other companies trying to get these people for them to complain, you know? Rusev and Lana, they should be making a stink right now because he had put it out there. He said, like, you know, we waited a year to push the Rusev Day thing and it was too late. And now I, you know, won that title and I lost it and whatever. And it's just sort of, I keep pitching ideas and they keep ignoring me. And seems the case with a lot of people. Killian Dain, I don't know if he's pitching ideas backstage, but at the very least, the idea he could pitch is, can you use this big, important tag team that was, like, one of the main focal points of NXT more than once every 2 months? You know?
A lot of people always want to bring up, I bet Triple H is so mad at Vince. And I don't usually go there, but with this one, I will. I bet you, it's like Sanity was a gimmick that Triple H worked hard on. He's probably upset, you know?
I bet you he's the guy that's keeping some of these people. Like, maybe a Ty Dillinger. Or he's probably talking to the backstage going, look, have a little bit of patience. The more power that I get, the more control I'll get. You know?
Right.
And the fact that with somebody like a Killian Dain, his wife is in WWE. Nikki Cross is, no matter where she goes on Raw or SmackDown, she still is in WWE. So he might want to stick around long enough just for that reason. But if I were Killian Dain, and if AEW went knocking on my door, I would at least pitch the idea to WWE of, like, look, if you're not going to use Sanity, and you're not going to use me separate from Sanity, I should just leave. Then maybe they'll give you a little bit more attention, you know?
Yeah, because nobody likes knowing what they have is leaving them.
You don't miss something until it's gone, and you don't start to miss something until it starts to leave, sometimes. Let's talk about the Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of awesomeness. The episode was Sitcom Powerbomb, and it was one of the worst episodes that I had seen, so definitely skip it. I wrote 3 things down that made me laugh, and they were not the biggest laughs.
I enjoy what they try, but this season has kind of reeked of mediocrity.
The Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of mediocrity.
Yeah. Yeah, I like where they're in the room and Edge just has the brunette mullet on him and he's like, on this day, I see, you know, like mocking his own theme song. I like that stuff, but
Saved by the Bell, that sketch.
Yeah.
For anybody who hasn't seen the episode, it's just a variety of, like, quick clips that are making fun of, like, different TV shows and everything. And they really go by really fast, but at the same time, there's so many of them and so many of the jokes just don't land that it's not worth watching. The things that made me laugh were, there's a thing making fun of Dukes of Hazzard, which I never watched that show, and I don't like the, you know, premise of it and all the other kind of stuff like that, but they have Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and he's in the car, and Edge just quickly says, oh, is he riding with the Sheik back there? Which, that's funny, if you know the Sheik story. there was a parody of Stranger Things, and it starts lighting up and showing the different spelling things out, and it starts to spell out "I have half the brain that you do," and I was like, "All right, I like the reference there. That Sid thing is funny." And the thing that actually made me laugh, and it didn't make me laugh when they were doing the jokes themselves, but just the idea behind it was that they were making fun of Big Show turning heel and face left and right as the Big Show turns. So that idea made me laugh, but the actual jokes themselves didn't. And there's only so many times that I can see Tommy Dreamer and have them be like, he's fat, for me to be like, all right, I don't find this funny anymore. Or, like the idea of Paul Smackage, that wasn't funny.
Well,
thumbs down.
Paul Smackage seems like something you'd come up with on like a really bad day of no sleep.
Maybe. You saying skip it too?
Yeah. One day
Yeah.
it'll make good binge content, but not today.
Let's talk about Seth Rollins. He's supposedly a little bit banged up, and he's going to be missing some time for the next little bit of weeks because that's how they kind of wrote him off with the whole 6 or so F5s, just to kind of heal up a little bit, which makes a lot of sense because you know what? There's not really anything that Seth Rollins needs to do for Elimination Chamber that wouldn't just be a waste. And you can start building up the rest of the WrestleMania stuff in March. This is not a good WrestleMania feud. It's not going to be some intricate weave of storylines. It's literally going to be the same as what we've seen before. It's just Seth Rollins wants to beat Brock Lesnar to take the title back. Brock Lesnar doesn't show up. Eventually, Brock Lesnar shows up. He beats the crap out of Rollins. Maybe somewhere along the way, Rollins gets like one good shot in, and then people go, oh, he took down the Beast. Maybe he could win at WrestleMania. And then leading up to WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar beats him again, and then he either beats him at WrestleMania or he doesn't. The end. So, you know what? I'm actually cool with Seth Rollins not popping up until mid-March. It doesn't matter. Let him heal up.
Just saying, Roman Reigns kicked out of 6 F5s. And leukemia. Oh, Seth Rollins, you ain't shit. Look.
Just for that, here you go. We're going to give you like hepatitis B or something. See how well you do with it. That's not the only thing that's happening when it comes to people being written off. And that's the Becky Lynch thing. So, yes, we are getting into our main event talk here. Becky Lynch was set up with this whole injury thing at Royal Rumble, and they had her come back into the Royal Rumble, even though she wasn't scheduled for it. She took Lana's spot, and she won the whole thing. So after that, they're continuing this idea that she's injured. And the storyline right now, if you missed Monday Night Raw, is Stephanie McMahon was telling her, you have to see the doctors, you have to get cleared to compete, or else I'm going to suspend you. And Becky Lynch basically said, go ahead and suspend me because I know that I'm essentially not going to be cleared. I don't want the doctors to talk to me. And Ronda Rousey got all pissed off and, stumbled over a promo a little bit and all the other kind of stuff that goes along with that. So this is the way that they write Charlotte Flair into it. 100%.
Yeah. I didn't like the idea of trying to pitch Rousey being like, you are so selfish. You're robbing people of the first female main event WrestleMania. I guess the way that now they've said that, that's definitely happening. Is that canon now?
It has to be. They would be pissing off so many people if that wasn't the main event,
Yeah, but it's kind of lame to me. I do think they're going to end up going the Daniel Bryan route where Becky defeats Stephanie at WrestleMania and then fights for the women's title.
I don't think that they would do that for kind of two reasons. Number one being, if they really do like the literal copy and paste where it's like, let's get the guy that is really over and put him against Triple H at WrestleMania so that way he does the whole thing by beating the two other people. And then you go, let's get the girl who's really over and have her beat Triple H's wife. And at that point, God damn it, WWE, you need to hire better writers because your writers can't do anything but repeat stuff. Plus, this is going to be a long card for WrestleMania.
Oh,
By default, you've got Rollins and Brock, the Ronda Rousey match, Asuka against whoever. I'm assuming an Intercontinental Championship match. I'm assuming a United States Championship match. I'm assuming a Cruiserweight Championship match. The same thing when it comes to the women's tag titles, because it's probably going to be Banks and Bayley against Trish and Lita. I'm assuming, obviously the WWE Championship match, because we got to figure out what's going on with Daniel Bryan. We got the Raw and SmackDown tag titles. Did I say them already? I don't think I did.
No, I don't think so.
Then we got the possibility of something like AJ Styles versus Randy Orton, or Randy Orton versus Samoa Joe. We've got Rey Mysterio somewhere in the mix there. We've got a potential John Cena match, if they have the time for that, and if they have somebody set up for that. Maybe they have an EC3 kind of thing with Dean Ambrose, but I highly doubt it at this point. You've got the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. You've got the Women's Battle Royal, if they continue that tradition. You're looking at 15, 16, 17 matches already. And they don't have enough room for it. So they can't do Becky versus Stephanie at WrestleMania. But they could do Becky versus Stephanie at Fastlane.
They could. But, we already know that the one rumor for Fastlane is Lynch fighting Charlotte again for maybe the 35th time?
7th time in the past 6 months, maybe.
But
that's where I think that they're going to go with this. I think that Stephanie is not getting in the ring. I think that she is going to be somewhere along the lines. Maybe it's on SmackDown tomorrow night. Maybe it's a week from now, 2 weeks from now, whatever. She's going to say Becky Lynch is not fit to compete when it comes to the WrestleMania thing. So since she is indefinitely suspended, we need a new person to challenge Ronda Rousey. And the only fitting thing is to go with the person who was the runner-up, and that's Charlotte Flair. And Charlotte goes full-on heel, which they kind of did a little bit with Ronda Rousey. Like, she was sort of coming off a little bit more heelish this week. And they play into everybody speculating online, going, oh, God damn it, this isn't supposed to be the main event, whatever. And they wait, and they go through Elimination Chamber, and we get whatever we get as far as maybe some advancement for the Asuka storyline, but Charlotte just sits out, doesn't do anything. And once we start getting into Fastlane, they have Becky Lynch get cleared to compete, and then they say, well, Charlotte Flair was already promised a match, but if you can beat Charlotte at Fastlane, then we'll make it a triple threat. And she beats her at Fastlane. Is that what you're thinking too? That's like there's your month and a half is just building up to the Fastlane thing, and then, piggybacking off of that to be like, now we can build to the triple threat at WrestleMania?
Well, the thing that pisses me off is, didn't we just get rid of the fucking Authority? And I was thinking about this, like, didn't we just get rid of, hey, we're not gonna be, shitty Authority figures with agendas? But no.
Well, they can get around that, I think. By, it depends on if they want to make it seem like that's part of the storyline, or if they just want to make it seem like that's their excuse. Because they can have Stephanie come out whenever she does this announcement, whether it's SmackDown or not, and she could say, look, Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey could have been great, and I really wanted to see it, but Becky refuses to see a doctor, and we don't have the ability to just hope that things work out. We have to be responsible. So I know that you guys don't want to see us not have a Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania, right? And then everybody's all like, what? And she goes, so we're going to make sure that we have a match. We're going to have Charlotte Flair and whatever. And I really wish that they would have not turned Rusev heel, because they turned Lana heel by proxy, and it would have been so good if they had the foresight for this. And I had the foresight for this the night of the Royal Rumble, of saying, if you wanted to include Charlotte into there, they could have had a match between Charlotte and Lana. And even though everybody would have been like, oh, well, of course Charlotte wins, it still doesn't matter. At least at that point, Charlotte could say, I'm the rightful person that should take Becky Lynch's place because I was the runner-up. And then you could have Lana come out and be like, no, Becky Lynch took my spot at the Royal Rumble. I deserve to take that space. And I didn't even get a chance to. And then Stephanie can say, well, you know what? You both make a good argument. Lana versus Charlotte at Elimination Chamber, and the winner gets Becky Lynch's spot at WrestleMania. And then people can boo and cheer and do whatever. Charlotte wins. And then the following weeks after that, Becky says, no, I'm not going to let that happen. I don't want Charlotte to steal my spot. Gets cleared, fights Charlotte at Fastlane, beats her. Then there's a triple threat, you know?
Yeah.
But you can't do that now because Lana's a heel. And if you do that, it's just going to be heel. And people are going to be confused. And I still think that WWE doesn't necessarily think that Flair's a heel, but she's definitely a heel in this regard. I guess they could still do it, but it's just, it wouldn't work the same, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think they're pushing it. I think there's a very simple way of doing things here that they're not doing because I think they're afraid to not have Charlotte. And I think that's a mistake.
I think that it's that they're not sure if Becky can draw enough on her own. And I think it's favoritism. I think that they like Charlotte Flair better enough that they were just like, no, we want Charlotte Flair to be able to say she was always the first person that was in the main event of WrestleMania as a woman. Just, they want to give Charlotte every accolade they possibly can get. So, yeah, they're stubborn about it because that's their baby, kind of, you know?
Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
And they'll make the argument, which to me, it's a valid argument, but it's still an argument of the fans are still getting what they want. They still get Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. I don't know why the fuck they're complaining. We're getting what we want. They get what they want. Fuck them. You know, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a fan of this. Like, oh, well, it should be a triple threat. They rely way too much on those, I think. Remember when, like, triple threats at WrestleMania were a rarity?
Yeah. I think that there's not a triple threat match or a fatal four-way or anything for the first, God knows how many WrestleManias now. I'm thinking about it. First, like, 13 or something?
Terrible.
I can't remember a triple threat or anything like that. At least it has to at least be, like, might not even been WrestleMania 13, actually. Trying to look at that card right now. It might have been, like, 15 or so. When they get into the whole, like, scenario with, like, the hardcore championship and all that. Yep, no triple threat at WrestleMania 13. I'm not coming across one on 14.
I think the first one that they did was 16 for, like, Benoit, Jericho, and Angle.
There is a Four Corners elimination match on WrestleMania 15.
Well, there's also one of those on 13.
There was on 13?
It's the opener.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's WrestleMania 13 then, I guess. So it took them 13 years to do that, and then now it's like we're pretty much going to have 13 multi-man matches this year.
Yep.
Well, I mean, at the very least, it shows you how much of the roster they want to try to cram in there, which all the more reason why some people might want to leave AEW. Leave to AEW, I should say. I'm just assuming that that's the way that they go with this. I think that the whole idea for that was maybe she has actually banged up a little bit like Seth Rollins, and this is a way to write her off for a couple of weeks. Or maybe it's just a means that they don't know what else to do, because how do you build for 2 months up to something and have people show up every single week, you know?
Right.
So it's just, we'll take her out of the mix, and she doesn't have to do anything next week, and not necessarily even the week afterward. And we can start bringing Becky Lynch back into the fold the beginning of March, that kind of a thing.
Right. Could be good.
I don't fault them for that. It, like, in the grand scheme of things with WWE, when they do storylines like this, I don't fault them for trying to take the easy way out and trying to go with the fans might be really excited to see Becky Lynch fight back in March and all the other kind of things like that. It's when they do things like the Styles and Nakamura feud, where it's like, you guys just don't want to try, you know? You're literally just saying we're having this match again. that is where I say that they're lazy. Not with this whole thing. This is like, I might have even booked this if I were in WWE. It's not the best course of action, but hey, if I were booking WWE, we would have had a very, very different 2017 and 2018. Because just change everything around the idea of Goldberg winning the championship. That never would have happened. And then everything else to follow, we would be in completely different worlds right now. But hey, you give me the book right after WrestleMania and you say, go ahead and write what you're going to do, I probably would do this with Becky Lynch. Something like this. For anybody that's interested, no, she is not like actually suspended. She is not, she didn't fail the wellness policy or anything. Come on.
Yeah, this is clearly a gimmick. Well, I wouldn't worry.
100%. And it's just to get Charlotte in there and it's just to stall for time. So,
but I just... Okay, here's the thing. We knew Rollins was going to fight Lesnar. He could have won the Chamber. If you were going to have a woman in the Rumble, in the men's Rumble, it should have been the one who calls herself the Man. And she could have won it. And Charlotte could have won the women's Rumble. And then you would have your undeniable main event WrestleMania being the women's triple threat.
At the very least, that would have stopped Nia Jax from doing that, which I probably would have been okay with.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for the hot tags that I have written down. Anything else you got that you want to go over?
Nothing I can think of. I would say real quick, MLW did their Super Fight card on BN Sports. Great show. Hart Foundation are the tag champions. The current Hart Foundation is Davey Boy Smith Jr., Brian Pillman Jr., and Teddy Hart. Good show. Go seek it out. It's on YouTube. Impact will be doing a pay-per-view called Rebellion on the 28th of April. We won't be covering that because we would just die in the month of April. So, yeah. But lots of good stuff going on in the world of wrestling. But you already know that. Quoting Alberto Del Rio.
Ugh. God damn it. I hated that so much. Well, that's it for the hot tags then for us. Thank you, of course, for listening to that, everybody. Make sure to leave your comments below and tell us what you thought about these different topics. And stay tuned for all the other things that are happening. The best way to do that is to subscribe on the YouTube channel and to ring the bell for the notifications to be aware of when we post the next things, which the next thing is going to be our call the spot on the card for the Elimination Chambers. That's going to be talking about the tag team match for the women and for the WWE title match for the men. Even though we're going to be recording that tomorrow afternoon, and that's going up before we know who that final tag team is, we know who that final tag team is going to be, so maybe they change it up on us and we're completely wrong, and if that's the case, then oh well. But we're doing that, and that'll be up before, hopefully, at least, before SmackDown starts. And then after that, we've got the next set of hot tags, and then we start getting into Elimination Chamber predictions, and then the post-show for that, and so on and so forth. I think at that point we're already at the fucking mailbag because it's like at the end of the month because February just kind of breezes by. So
you keep doing this thing where like you're making the months of my life just go away.
Oh no, we have 1 week after that. That's the blank week that we might do the beginning of the Smark Madness tournament, or we might do Mount Rushmore of tag teams, or we might do I don't know Mount Rushmore of cages. There you go. What cages are the best out of the four? We got the blue cage, we got the black cage, we got the Hell in a Cell.
You laugh, but we can talk a lot about Hell in a Cell, Elimination Chamber, old and new variants. All the WCW cages. There's actually we could go somewhere.
The Punjabi prison.
All of the weird fucking cages TNA tried to get over. All the weird cages WCW tried to get over. Like
the War Games cage. God damn it. This might be a thing. Well, if you guys want to see that, let us know. Maybe we'll do it. I don't fucking know. I kind of hope not, but we'll see. Also, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. Check out the merchandise shops on Redbubble and TeePublic. And the other way of throwing some spare change our way is to hit up the Patreon for this or for Fanboys Anonymous, which of course means going to fanboysanonymous.com and checking out the stuff that's happening over there. We've got some stuff happening on the foreign object side of things, so check out my stuff on eWrestling News and on Bleacher Report. And always check out the other things that are happening on smarkoutmoment.com as well. Passing this over there to Rob. Any plugs you want to toss out?
Yeah, I'll just echo your sentiments about e-wrestling news. And I, of course, do a lot on WrestleZone.com. You know, I do the WrestleZone Daily every day on Facebook. All the great weeklies. I'm going to keep plugging them because they're fantastic. We got some new writers. 5 Moves of Doom of Shawn Michaels. And a great profile on Primo Cologne. So go check those out. And TimekillerApparel.com, which is my clothing brand. And that's it.
Alrighty, everybody, that's going to do us in. Thank you, of course, for all your support. We will see you with those Call the Spot things next time. Adios, everybody. This is another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.